Gingersnaps, just in time for Christmas. Hey everyone, and welcome to Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, the author of Unprocessed, The Secrets to Ultimate Weight Loss and Own Your Health, and this is where I show you recipes for healthy, permanent, and sustainable weight loss. First, I'd like to thank Dr. Scott Harrington for these beautiful flowers, and today I'm going to show you one of my favorite recipes. A couple of days ago on Chef AJ Live, that's the show I do live every single day at 11 a.m. Pacific time, where you can actually ask the guests questions in real time. The guest said, "What's your favorite holiday dessert?" And I said, well, my favorite holiday dessert is one that I enjoy all year round, and that is Gingersnaps. And we're going to make them without any flour, without any refined sugar, of course without any oil. They're low in fat, they're high in fiber, and they're whole food, plant-based, and vegan, and delicious, and only use 5 ingredients that you probably maybe even have in your home already. So let's get started. I'm using the NutraMilk machine. Even though it's a milk making machine, they have this other attachment called the smoothie bowl that is my favorite food processor because it takes seconds instead of minutes to process things. But if you don't have one, just use any food processor fitted with the S blade. So we need 12 ounces of dates and 2 cups of oats. And I like using a food scale because it's more accurate. I was a pastry chef at a Los Angeles restaurant for 5 years, and we did everything by weight. In baking and pastries, you don't do cups and tablespoons. Everything is weighed, and that makes it much more accurate. And then you can use the food scale, not to weigh and measure your food because you're on a diet, but for postage as well. So this one was like $15 at Bed Bath & Beyond. So I have my 12 ounces of dates. If you didn't want to get a food scale, guess what? At Trader Joe's and many stores, dates come already in 12-ounce packages. And they also come in 8-ounce packages, organic dates at Trader Joe's, so you use 1.5 packets. So it's not that hard to figure out what 12 ounces is. So we're going to start with 2 cups of oats, and I always use gluten-free. I am gluten-free, but even before I was by necessity, so many people are, it's just easier to do everything gluten-free. What's really cool about the NutraMilk is this thing that turns. You don't have to always scrape down the sides like you do with other food processors. So we're going to put this in, and we're just going to mix it. Just for 5 seconds. You know, we don't want it ground into a fine flour, but we want to get them a little bit more ground than they are. And now I'm going to add my dates. And my spices, which are gingerbread spice from local Spicery and vanilla powder. I'll put the recipe written out below. This is the best spice for making gingerbread cookies. Local Spicery has a whole line of SOS-free spices that are made in small batches, mostly organic, non-irradiated, and delicious. So now I put that in the NutraMilk or in the food processor if that's what you're using. And now I'm going to process. So that took 1 minute in the NutraMilk. If you're using a food processor, it's going to take a lot longer to get to this stage where you can just smush it together and have what I call the break point, where if you go like this, it doesn't crumble, which is perfect. Now we have 1 more ingredient, and this is 2 tablespoons of date syrup. I'm using I Love Date Lady. It's organic. I can put a discount code below. And the reason I'm doing that is these are not very sweet cookies, but when you have traditional ginger snaps, what you're doing is usually putting in molasses because you want that kind of rich flavor, and I'm using date syrup for that, and this is only 2 tablespoons. So that is what I am doing. It's very thick, and date syrup is not as sweet as, say, maple syrup or other sweeteners that people use like sugar or agave. And then I'm just going to process this just for a few seconds. That was about 10 seconds just to get it combined. You didn't want to put it in at the beginning or it'll be too wet. And so now I'm going to take the contents out. Just going to put it on a plate and show you an easy way to figure out how many cookies you're making. I like to bake things on a Silpat nonstick baking sheet or one that is actually has sides on it that I'll show you, because parchment paper is not very environmentally friendly. So this is how much dough I have, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to smash it on this plate and then cut it into just segments to show you how to make each one the same size. You can use a cookie scoop, but the problem is this is kind of a sticky dough, and I find when I use a cookie scoop, it sort of stays in there. So what I just do is I'm going to cut it in half, and then cut it in half. So I want to make, I can make either 12 or 16 cookies. So if I want to make 16, I would do each fourth like this, and if I want them a little bigger in 12, I'll just make it in 2/3. It doesn't have to be perfect. And then what I'm going to do is bake this on silicone baking ware, and then I just take each portion that I cut out and I roll it in my hands. It's not so sticky that you can't do that. Now you technically could eat this. I mean, it would be raw in the sense that it's unbaked, but it's not raw like for a raw food is raw. So I make these little balls. The thing is you have to just decide what size you want and just try to make them all the same size so they'll cook evenly. And you can get about 12 on a plate or 12 on a baking mat. And then after I get all of them out there, I take my hand, and then you might want to wet your hand just at this point, and then I just press it down. And again, you can make these as big or as small as you want. I just like to make them the same size. And then I bake them in a preheated 325-degree oven for 8 minutes. At 4 minutes, I turn it. 6 to 8 minutes, it just depends if your oven's properly calibrated. And then after they cool, they come out and they look like this. And they taste amazing. And they're not real crispy. You can see that I can move it. They're kind of pliable. You don't want to get them too crunchy, or, you know, that'd be hard to eat. And I love to store them in this little ZipTop container so that they stay nice and fresh. So I hope you'll try this recipe for Christmas or anytime, and I wish you and your family a very happy, healthy, and prosperous New Year and holiday season. Thanks so much for watching another episode of Weight Loss Wednesday. I'm Chef AJ, and I truly believe you can have the health and the body you richly deserve, and even have a cookie. I hope you enjoyed the Gingersnaps. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.